Pope in 2022 here at the Vatican. And we have the pleasure of speaking to Anna now. It's lovely to talk to you, Anna. And if I can ask you, first of all, what was it like to meet the Pope in the Vatican?
It was the highlight of my life so far, and I'm sure it will be a highlight for many years to come. And we were told the night before we were going to meet him that we would meet him the following morning in his own private library. And we were led through the Vatican. We obviously looked as nervous as we felt, and there was a cardinal who kicked him out of the private library. He was having a meeting with the Holy Father, and he said, "Don't be anxious, just treat this like meeting your grandfather," and that's exactly how it felt. And the Pope shook all our hands. He himself opened the door. He prepared a speech to give to us, and he said, "You can read this all in your own time, just ask me whatever you would like." And we did. We asked him about his time from university and about how we as students could promote gospel values and how we could use our own vocations to do that. And it was like meeting your grandfather, and I think that's why many Catholics today are feeling the loss of Pope Francis, because we're not only losing a pontiff and a world leader and a church leader, we're losing someone who feels like a member of our extended family. So it's definitely something I'll remember forever.
Absolutely, yes. When you talk about that, about the feeling of, making you trying to make you feel relaxed and trying to make you feel comfortable. It's part of who Pope Francis was. He was known, wasn't he, by many as the people's Pope. How did you feel in that moment when he took your hand and spoke to you?
I think that's one of the things that many people remember about Pope Francis. You could be a prisoner, you could be a student from Belfast, you could be someone who's ill, and Pope Francis had a way of making you feel that you were the only person in the room that mattered, and that you were loved and you were seen and you were known. And I think that day, that's all we felt. We felt pure joy at meeting the Holy Father, but we also felt that we were the only ones in the room, and he cared about us, and he felt that we were important. And even in his words and his advice about how to evangelize as students, he said things as simple as talking to people about the Gospels, on the bus or in a coffee shop, or even in the pub when you're socialising. He said all these little things make a difference, and the saints are ordinary people that live extraordinary lives, and I think that's exactly what Pope Francis was. In his very ordinary way, he did extraordinary things, and in that way he is extraordinary.
Anna, can I ask you, what was it that you and your friends were doing in the Vatican? Why had you been invited here? Why were you meeting the Pope?
So it was the 50th anniversary of the Queen's University and Belfast Catholic Chaplaincy, so it was a part of those celebrations. We were also joined by Reverend Steve Stockman, who's a Presbyterian minister in Belfast, and Father Martin McGill, and those two individuals were very involved in Belfast in ecumenical work and peace projects. And the Pope himself had recognised their work in Belfast in bringing about change. And Steve Stockman made himself known to the Pope and said, "Pope Francis, I'm the only Presbyterian in the room." And the Pope said, "Well then, Steve, you're the most welcome." And I think even that for us in Belfast, Pope Francis, reaching across the sectarian divide in Belfast and Northern Ireland, it was a great day for us and a great day for Belfast as well.
There are a series of events that are going to happen over the coming days and weeks that will culminate in the new Pope being decided here at the Vatican. And to talk a little bit more about what the process means and what it's going to entail, I'm joined by former Rome correspondent and colleague Mark Lowe. Mark, good to see you. Talk me first of all through the next couple of days, because at the moment the body lies in the chapel of the residence of St. Martha. What's happening on Wednesday, and then looking ahead, what's happening over the coming days?
So on Wednesday, tomorrow morning, at 9 a.m. local time, the body, Pope Francis' body and the coffin will be transferred to St. Peter's Basilica there behind us, which towers over St. Peter's Square. This gorgeous Renaissance and Baroque cathedral, 15th, 16th century, topped by the dome designed by Michelangelo, of course. And that is where he will lie in state between Wednesday and Saturday, and we're expecting very large crowds to go in and see his open casket and to pay their final farewell to Pope Francis. Then on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. local time, the funeral will begin. And be a funeral that will attract the heads of state and royalty from right across the world. We know already that Donald Trump and his wife Melania will be there. The presidents of France and Brazil have confirmed their attendance. The president of Ukraine is said to be on his way as well to come to that on Saturday. And then, after the funeral on Saturday, his coffin will be transferred across Rome to the Basilica di Santa Maria Maggiore. That is on the other side of Rome, and that is where Pope Francis said that he wanted to be buried. Now, it is rare for popes not to be buried at the Vatican. It's more than 100 years since a pope was not buried at the Vatican, and it's very much typical of the kind of slightly more humble, quieter end to his life that he wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, he streamlined the funeral as well, hasn't he? Because in the past, popes were buried in 3 different coffins, starting with a cypress coffin. But he has wanted to do things differently from the start.
He wanted to be in a coffin that was wood and zinc, and just to be laid in the ground simply with his name in Latin, Franciscus. This is a man who, from his humble beginnings, then that very much shaped